All right, guys, here we are. Got a lot of work to do tonight. Been crammed a bunch of stuff here in the shop, trying to get ready for the Jtwes Plow Day coming up. Again, this is Friday, a week before. Was this like the last few days, October? But anyway, we're trying to get the last few minute things going, and I was kind of bringing you along for some of the madness here. First things first, I need to get this Fast Hitch, the 1-point Fast Hitch, put over on the 140. And got a lot of work to do there to get all the cultivating stuff off of it. I normally leave, I've used this tractor to plow with in the past, and it does a really good job. But I picked up that 130 sitting right there, and I normally just use it for tillage work. And anytime I plow or disc or whatever, I normally just use it. I like the bigger tires on it. This one has, it came with 11 tooth, had one brand new Firestone and one wore out Goodyear. And then I bought a little Super A. It's actually sitting up there. You can kind of see it way up there in front of the Dodge. Anyway, it had these 12-424s on it, and I really like the bigger beefiness of that. For I can get the plow up out of the ground a little better, and the disc picked up a little higher, and it still runs a small tire on the front. Now, it came with mismatched tires on the front. That's a, what is that one? A 515 in a Harvest King. And I really wanted to put a Firestone on there with it, but you just can't find them. And this is a Firestone, and it's like new. As you can see, it's still like new condition, but I can't find another one right now. So I could find another Harvest King. So what I'm going to do is put that one on so it matches, and then when I find another one of these, I'll put it on there. So anyway, that's kind of on the list. I want to get that tire switched out. I really like the profile of the Harvest King better than this Firestone. You see, doesn't have a lot of depth on that thing, where this one does. I mean, it's got a lot on it, and it's a brand new tire too. Of course, date coded 11 years ago. I think it's a 10 model tire, but it looks like brand new. So anyway, I was able to get this one that was an identical match to it. When I find another Firestone, I'll buddy it up there and put it back on or something. And I really like the aggressiveness of that rib. And I'm really excited to maybe even work these over onto that tractor with that little Super A right there with the mower, because it doesn't pull real bad sideways. That's a decent tire on it, but the other side's a mess. Anyway, just trying to match up some stuff here. So anyway, that's why this front end is laying in here, because it has a tractor tire on one side and a truck rim on the other, or a truck tire rather on this rim. And I'm going to look at this one pretty good, and if it looks okay, I'm going to peel it off of there and put that Harvest King on it. That way I don't dismount that Goodyear. I'll again put it on another one, so that'll work out good there. But anyway, got a lot of work to do. I've got to get all this planter mechanism off. And again, got kind of back to that original story. What I like to do is just have this little tractor set up to work rows with. It's a slick little deal. It starts and it plants good, it cultivates good. It's just a good little tractor. But I need to do a little work on it, and I need to put the battery stuff back in. I put a new battery in it a while back, a newer battery, and I peeled the battery box off, and I just needed to get it done right quick. I didn't have time, and to put all the sheet metal back on it, and I've just got to bolt all of it back on. I'm also going to change this side. I had another tractor with an original decal and original paint, and this one was a little bit rusty here on the top in these two spots from battery leaks, I guess. So I'm going to change that out, Lord willing. And also, somebody put a Stuart Warner ammeter in it, and the glass broke. I guess you can make it charge whatever you want to now. But anyway, I'm going to try to change that out and look at this fuse holder, see what's going on with it. A couple little just things that I've been wanting to do, and man, I've had this tractor 7, 8, 9 years, something like that already, and it's been a good little machine. Really enjoyed it. Really interesting sticker back here from where it was sold at Abshire Motor Sales in Jumping Branch, West Virginia. That was about 40 minutes down the road here. And tractors, it's had a few repairs done to it. This is kind of a mess, and I've got another one of these I'm going to try to put on it, sitting over by those dozer sprockets that I still haven't got put on, but maybe this winter. Anyway, this seems like there's plenty of work to do, so I'm not going to complain. Thankful to be able to do some, but that's kind of on our list this evening, is get some of this done. And this tractor is mostly in original paint. There's somebody painted the sheet metal with a brush one time. You can kind of see it peeling through, the original peeling, coming through the other. But I don't know, just kind of like that old tractor. Now, for the 130, I'm going to try to take it too. And this is a two-way plow that came with this tractor, and it had wore out bottoms on it. So this is a set off of a Cub. They're 12s. They don't cover a lot of ground, but they bolted on okay, and put the new bottoms on, of course painted up the stuff. It's up at the 19 Red Power Roundup, and got the right decals for it. And of course those didn't stick real good because the metal is very pitted. It was rusted really bad. But anyway, this also came with a really nice disc, and this tractor did, and something else. Oh, a really nice set of all the side dresser and cultivator stuff too. So I really like this tractor too. It does good. It's got a little blow by, but it gets the job done. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm going to try to do here tonight, is get some of this stuff a little closer to ready. And calling for snow here in West Virginia next week. So I don't know what that's going to look like. I'm hauling tractors around in the snow, but hopefully it won't be too much. And also in the midst of this, trying to get the hydraulic dovetail finished up. So I don't know. I might be biting off more than I can chew, but we're going to try to bite it off. And again, try to get these two guys finished up and ready. And I've also got a 2-bottom plow outside. I didn't bring it inside. Didn't have enough shop space. But I'm going to try to bring it in, or not bring it in, but I'm going to try to take it to, just see how it does. And this is the original plow that came with the 140. Now the 140 came with the mower that's on that little Super A, a full set of cultivators, a 1-point plow, this plow right here, and let me think what else came with, a 1-point scraper blade. Yeah, I think that's right. Came with a nice set of full rear wheel weights. Somebody's already taken the front ones off, but I traded up another set of those. And but anyway, that's kind of a little bit about that. But this is the original plow, and it is in really good shape. It even has original decals here and stuff on it. Now the Plow Chief ones, I couldn't find them on it. They're already gone, but it's in really good shape. Some of the original blue paint still on here. You can kind of see a little bit of it on here, and on that other coulter over there. It does have a homemade coulter clamp right here out of a piece of all thread, but the plow that is on that tractor, the coulters were destroyed on it, so I was able to get the other bolt I need to make this one right. So I'm real excited about that, and then kind of keep this one somewhat original. And it's had a couple little welds placed in here, but pretty decent old plow to be. 1960 again. That one's a 1960 model, and that one, boy, I'm thinking 55 or 56. No, not 55. It had to be 6 or 7. Now that I think about it. So anyway, I'll look it up. I'm not sure. It might be a 7, but anyway, I have to. I can't remember. But anyway, so I'm going to try to get some of this stuff off and get rolling. So I'm going to set you up and let you watch a little. All right, so here we are. We're getting the rear lift rods off. And a lot of this hitch was kind of put on backwards for the 1-point part of it. And I'll show you that here in a little bit. So I'm going to be switching some of those pieces around when it comes to it. But again, here we are getting this rear section off and getting all the pieces put away. I've got a little pallet sitting over here that the draft part of the 1-point hitch was on, and we're just kind of putting all the little pieces over on it as they come off. And I'm really excited to get this thing a couple little odds and ends jobs. You can kind of see that rear light. It's also it was that way when I got it. And I bought another 140 several years ago that
I'm trying to think how long ago it was. Probably in 15 or 16. Yeah, I think it was probably 16. And it was a decent little tractor. It seemed to run okay. It had brand new rubber all the way around. It's still sitting back there. That's when I robbed that battery side to cover off up. But it had a decent light in it. Both 60 model tractors, but the light was made a little different when we came down to it. And of course, I'll show you some of that too here. I've got quite a bit of video here for getting these two tractors ready to go. And I tell you, just really excited to get to go down there and do some plowing with the folks. And I've got a good bit of video from the day itself, and just a wonderful group. Just had a great time down there. Wonderful to meet Joe and his family there, and just all the other folks that came. Just wonderful people, and just really had a great day. But anyway, here we are getting the bell dropped. I'm going to go ahead and do this. This is kind of more of the assembly part, but I wanted to get it done while it was on my mind. And there's a little piece right up here at the top that thing bolts up or pins up into. And this tractor did not come with that part. I don't know if it just was never on it or got lost over the years before I got to it. But this little piece right here that I just had my hand on goes up and sticks under the floorboard and pins on. And it, again, wasn't there. I ended up robbing it off of that other 140. You really need that thing sticking up out of the way if you're doing any cultivation of tall plants. Now here we are kind of pulling the fertilizer, I guess, drive unit off. Excuse me. It's held on by several bolts, and it's driven by the seed, the same chain that goes off the seed drive planter section there. So those bolts were really tight. I never got them broke loose. But it's one thing about these old Farmalls, and everybody says, "Well, why do you have so many of them?" Well, a lot of times it's just I was telling folks over the weekend, it's just a lot of times just to get enough parts to keep them going. Those bolts are a special bolt. They're a tapered bolt, and just hard to find. I mean, if you do find them, like on eBay or something, they're crazy expensive. So I usually just try to find old tractors that aren't running or not in great shape or whatever, and then I get those special bolts that I need. As you can see, that takes a special tapered bolt to hold it into place, and just a lot of interesting little pieces on these things. Right here's another thing I'd love to have. Is the correct wrench for the A tractors. That one's off of a C, so really only one end of it's usable on this tractor, but you can see it has a really goofy offset in it there, and super handy for pulling these cultivators off, especially on I think it's one side, I almost think it's this side. If you have a regular wrench, it just rubs that lower arm on the cultivator assembly. So there's a lot of special pieces on these old tractors, and that's a interesting bit to them, that it kind of takes the right tools and the right bolts and the right pieces to make them all work. But here we are removing this right hand toolbar, and I've mentioned this before in other videos, but I usually try to set up toolbars, and you can see this one big nut here. You take it loose, and it has a special taper. Slide it forward out of that keyhole, and then it's ready to go whenever you're ready to go to work. So I have lots of different toolbars too. I try to find lots of those so that I can set up, small disc killer, big disc killer, those with the little chisels, and then I've got a set with shovels on them, and it takes a lot of different ones to get several different crops cultivated. But here we are removing this fertilizer drive unit. And I'm kind of making notes here for myself of how all that chain assembly lays in there. That little part there is the chain tensioner, and it keeps that chain from flopping. I've flopped that thing pretty bad before I had a manual for the machine because I put it on wrong. And this nut right here is what loosens the chain tensioner. And it will, you kind of put it in there and get some slack pulled out of it. You can see me roll those two. There's a section of 3 wheels right there, and the last 2 are the tensioner wheels. So then that lets you slide your whole chain off. Now this little rod you'll see me take loose here in a minute is kind of what supports all that and keeps it all from moving, and of course using that same big cultivator wrench for it. But it's I found this set down in Milton, West Virginia, the set of planters. The same guy I bought the Industrial Super A from. Bought it at a later time. That Super A, it had a highway mower on it, which, stay tuned, I'm going to try to get that thing done here for too much longer, because it mows in multi-positions. It's not like a typical side mount number 21 mower like you find on a Cub or a Super A. It will mow in all positions, so that's really nice. But anyway, I bought this from him. That tractor had a nice setup. I ended up buying a cultivators with it, but it only came with that mower. And then I told him I was really looking for a fertilizer side dresser unit. He said, well, my brother has one at 140 that it was a planter. I said, even better. So I've got all the planter stuff for it too. I'm taking a minute just to explain these new Nipex pliers. I love these things. They won't give you a blood blister. That thing adjusts really easy, and you can see its gap in them. No matter where you put them in, they're showing you a blood blister on the end of my finger from earlier in the week. If you've ever followed channel locks, you'll understand the beauty of that set of pliers. So, but anyway, I'm sorry this is kind of out of frame, but what I'm doing is taking that little rod, you can see it right by the starter, the pin out of it, and then you can see me lay it down here right there. That is what engages and disengages the clutch for the planter and fertilizer. So when you get to the end of the row, it hooks up on the rock shaft arm for the front half of the cultivators, and it will turn the fertilizer and seed off whenever you lift the cultivators up in the air, so that it doesn't just spill it all over the place while you're turning around. So here we are. I'm just tightening those special bolts back up so they don't get lost, because last thing I want to do is lose a bunch of those hard to find bolts. Another interesting thing I was sharing with a friend of mine, he stopped over later this day, or maybe it was the next day. He came by the next day and looked at this. Those bolts have either a dot or an IH in the middle of them. They call them dot head bolts or IH bolts, and they're pretty neat. Most all the bolts on these old tractors have that. And maybe it's OCD, I don't know, but I really like to try to keep the right bolts in the right machines, and he appreciated that. He once said one time he bought an entire Subaru just to get the metric bolts out of it to work on another one with him. But I get it, because it's nice to have the right stuff on there. And of course, these special bolts have the taper in them. It's absolutely crucial to have it. So the others just won't hold the implement where it needs to be. So here we are taking the left side toolbar off and getting it over out of the way. And you can see I don't have that front piece in it, so I'm going to have to hold my finger up in that square hole to get the
so
bolt
she's
to
pretty
stay in
much
place.
Stripped down now.
But anyway,
The
it's
cultivators, now we're
coming
going
along
to
pretty
assemble the
good.
rest
Here's
of the back
the
here and get our little rod.
I'm taking just a minute to kind of talk a little bit about the what needs to be done here. And when I did this, the bolt was missing. I didn't have the special bolt for this. It takes a special one that has a long taper on the end of it. And back to that buying machine just to get special hardware. That little pin is like 40 some bucks just to buy the pin. You can see it laying there by the hammer right there. Those are a fairly hard to get little piece. So, and the problem is you can see a little pin laying on the ground beside it. I put it in there just for the moment so it wouldn't fall out. But those hairpins are not the right pin for me to have in those as a retention for the other pin, because grass will get in that hairpin and pull that thing out, and then you'll lose your big pin. And it's like finding a needle in a haystack, or in my case, a hay field. So you'll see me later here changing all those pins out. Here we are getting this that one rear piece is all slid in. We're getting that ready to go, and I found it easier to put the rear draft piece in. Right here you see it going in. I found it easier to put it in and then lift the whole front up into that front rock shaft, because it's just so hard to line it up in the air over your head and everything's sliding. It's kind of laying where you need to be on your back laying to do it. So you'll see me here just kind of lift the whole thing up and slip it up into this front rock shaft. So that's kind of the easiest way I found to do this. Of course, these take special pins, which I've collected several of those over the years, and I love this little simple plate that just holds it all on. I love it. But anyway, here's the part I was talking about earlier. It's all kind of backwards. It was put together wrong when I got it, and you can see this side needs to go over there, and that side vice versa. So I'm going to take a little bit of time to do that here, and you'll see me do that through this video, as well as not only switching the parts around, but switching a lot of the hardware around. You can see that huge pin on that right side. It's a big hairpin that's probably 4 or 5 inches long. It's a monstrous thing. And this pin I'm driving out here is just a big cotter pin that is just absolutely huge. And it's tough to it's tough fighting with that stuff that's not correct, and it just looks bad. So I went and bought a whole bunch of cotter pins several years ago, and then ended up going in later this day, later the next day, and getting a whole bunch more, and getting all those switched out so it looks like it's supposed to look. And they were just a lot of mess in there, and there were some 8-penny nails and some 16-penny nails, and I mean, you name it, they were in there. And I understand. I mean, I'm a farmer too, and sometimes, just like you'll see, I talked earlier about the battery, you just do what you got to do to get it done right then, because you're fighting weather and scheduling, and everything's a mess. But I had a little time here, so I went back and fixed some of that, and because it's a whole lot nicer not to hit your arm on a nail it's all bent over and fighting with it. So here we are, changing those different sides out and getting them kind of where they need to be. And it's amazing how many pins it takes to hold one of these hitch assemblies together. But again, I don't want to lose any parts. I've got another tractor that just had I guess it'd be the lift arms part of this. They weren't with it, so I was able to rob a pin or two out of it. And I'll show you those special pins here in a little bit. There you can see that huge cotter pin, or hairpin rather, in that left-hand link. I mean, it is huge. I don't know that I've ever seen a hairpin that big, but it was just a monstrous thing. And but it takes it has a 5/16 hole, so they had to find a huge pin to hold that. But here in a moment, I'll show you the really cool. Here's that big goofy pin. It is a monstrous thing. But here in a moment, I'll show you the correct pin for that hole, and tomorrow, for the video's purpose, I'll show you how to make one of those. So I was able to, again, I went through, I think, 3 different hitches to get the pins that I needed. Well, no, 4. There were 4 altogether. So went through 4 different hitches of tractors to get enough to put this one back in, mostly original stuff. And here I am putting that one in wrong. So and then I'm going to put that little track bar that adjusts side to side in wrong in a minute too. But anyway, it takes a minute to get it all done. But that special pin is a really unique piece, and again, I'll show you how to make one of those. It takes a roll pin slid down over a hairpin, and then you batter the ends together. But here I'm just taking a minute and taking some little heavy grease and trying to get everything slicked up. And a lot of this hitch is greasable. Right, those lower sections there where the bale's hooked onto the brackets of both the final drives has grease fittings. There you can kind of see a grease fitting right above my hands there on that lower screw adjustment. And it's kind of neat too. That whole bar will slide side to side in infinite adjustment, basically infinitely adjustable, as well as the big 3 major pins. So you can kind of get that thing dialed in, that side to side adjustment, really, really close to right on the money. So whatever you're trying to do. So that's kind of neat. But you can kind of see that drawbar, it pins on under the hitch. I was really tickled to get that one. It's in really good shape. You can see the hole isn't all wallered out or anything. And I really was tickled to get that one. It came with this tractor. Now the other hitch did not come with one of those that looks good. It's about pulled all the way through, and I've used it several times, and I need to just sit down and weld it up and grind it back out. I'm pretty sure it's a cast steel. Now the one on this tractor is a welded piece. It has flat pieces of metal welded together, so kind of a difference there. But here we just kind of put a little bit of lube on these parts. It was just some grease that was over grease and slid up in there. It'll keep it from wearing so bad. Alright, so we're getting this last lift link put in place, or lift arm put in place. And again, just throwing a little bit of lube in those holes, and you can kind of see that big old goofy hairpin again. It's all fell all the way through there. But again, just about to get this section here wrapped up, and bam, there we have it. A little funny glitch there, but anyway, you can kind of see me just checking, make sure that handle's not going to hit anything. I was thinking maybe that's why they put it over there. I know a lot of the other style hitches don't have that fixed arm. It folds over. And I almost think that may be part of why that light was beat out and things like that. But here we are putting the changing sides with this guy, because it's supposed to be in the back. I kind of had it all discombobulated there, and so here we are switching it and getting it in the right location, and getting all pinned up and ready to go. It's slowly getting together there. So going to now start working on some of these pins. That one there was driven in, and it wouldn't hardly move at all, and it was just severely stuck, and they are sometimes just a real fight. So I couldn't do any side-to-side adjustment, which is necessary when you're plowing. You got to get that draft angle correct so it's not pulling the tractor sideways. If you don't have all that in place, it makes it really tricky. And I really probably ought to do a video on how to set up a plow for you too. But basically, you want that thing pulling straight from side to side, and then because if you don't set that in the correct line front to back, it makes a tractor really hard to steer. You're always fighting, and then as soon as it hits something hard, it pulls in front of the tractor sideways, and it's coming back, and you're fighting the brakes all the time. And what really needs to happen instead of all that is just get the plow adjusted right. So I'm getting all this stuff switched out, and see, it had a big old cotter pin, I think, in it that was just bent, and it was horrible mess, and that piece was stuck on there. And so I've got this other pin you can kind of see there. I bought a couple of them a while back. Can't find one right now. They're all sold out everywhere, but must be stuck in a shipping harbor somewhere. But I just stuck it in the hole so I wouldn't lose it there. Probably a year ago I bought the thing, and so whenever you can see here, I'm going to have to beat on that thing a little bit to get it to work, and it's quite the pain to get loose. But I'm going to end up using that pin. I've got one in the 130, and I've used it quite a bit, and it works really good. So we'll get that thing all loosened up and taken care of, and then we'll be able to get that plow just tuned up, pulling exactly where it needs to be. Now, while I'm on that thought, the side to side here, you can kind of see this cool chisel here holder and punch holder. That's a snap-on unit, and I have hit my hand so many times. I've got a bad spot in my finger from beating it with a hammer before so much, and that little thing is very handy. Look, you can see the size of that silly thing. It's just crazy, but it has a handy tool there. And you can see here, I'm going to try to put that big pin back in and just see if it'll go, but it wouldn't even fit. And there's that one going, but here's this special pin right here. Here's one I wanted to show you. You can kind of see that hairpin with the roll pin in it, and then the end is battered so it doesn't, or peened or whatever, so it doesn't fall off. And that is a really neat idea because it lets you hold a 5/16 hole with a very easy to install pin. That huge pin, it hangs on everything, went through too far and all that. But I had one on this tractor, and then of course went through a couple others and got another one, and then again went to Tractor Supply, and I'll show you those part numbers for the pieces you need, and a quick and dirty way to build those real fast so that you can put those on yours if yours is missing it. Now here I think, yeah, see how that thing is stuck. It's quite stuck. I had to get ugly with it a little bit to get it to do any good. There you go. You can see how stuck it was behind it. There you're seeing I didn't have the cotter pin on the back of that other rod, but just trying to get a little bit of grease on this thing so it doesn't stick on us, and so it's really easy to adjust. And I'm not sure if it's in this part or not, but that little rod that I'm putting grease on right now will spin around and around. That's what I was talking about a little earlier, to get the fine tuning right. And the bottom, you can see that grease circle right there on the right hand one. My finger's just covering it right there. That will lube that swivel, that screw type connection. I don't think it's anything special like Acme thread, but it's just a regular screw type thread there. And that'll let that move back and forth to get that adjustment just right on the money. And of course you can see up there on the bell on the front of that draft link, But it has 4 different holes, so you can get that alignment put up right. And again, it's super handy for plowing to get that thing right where you need it to be. So now we got that thing adjusting good. I'm going to drop it. That's kind of my go-to hole for running that one bottom turnover plow or two-way plow. You see in the background that works pretty good. And it come to find out, it works pretty good for the 2 bottom plow too. You really didn't have to do a bunch of different adjusting to make that work out. So anyway, it's we're getting a little bit close here to getting this thing wrapped up. Again, just getting a few last minute pins put in and getting all the little parts here and there. Again, it might be a little OCD, but I really like having all as close to right parts as I can get. And I want to look up and see what pin, that shiny pin. I really like to see what the original pin goes there. I just need to get my parts book out and see what that thing looks like. I'm not sure that's the right style pin, but again, sometimes you work with what you have, and that one does a really good job. It gives solid retention. It's not hard to fight. It's easy to pull out and put back in. But again, so I guess what I'm saying is, don't go think I'm telling you that this is the exact right pin for that location, because I'm just not 100% sure. But here we are getting all the pins. I got my big Cotter Pin kit out here on the floor, and I'm kind of walking through this, and I like to get those pins in, and I also trim them down. I don't leave them long if they're too long. Like that one you saw earlier, was half of it was sticking out the other side. It makes them really hard to get back out. And you see me using snap-on side cutters here. I use those to pull cotter pins out too. I kind of bite into them and then use it for leverage to pull on them, and it usually does a really good job. You can see me there popping that thing out, but it does a really good job in removing old cotter pins, and then I can trim up the new one and get it looking real good, and really does a good job. Here we are pulling the last little bit of that out with those new Nipex pliers. I really do like those things. I'd seen them before, but Mr. Treadway, my welding buddy there, he's one that turned me on to those things. He said, you won't get a blood blister, and I have gotten so many blood blisters from the stinking channel lock ones. And they're an aggravation, but I'm having to use them on these big pins, because those are, I think they're, I forget, 3/16 or 1/4 inch pin. They're a pretty large pin there. Here we are getting the last of them taken care of here up in the front. It's putting again, I'm pulling that hairpin out and putting the correct cotter pin in so I don't lose that in the tall grass. Now, heading down to plow that sunflower patch in North Carolina at Jtwes' plow day. It's I don't anticipate a ton of grass in there, but if you're driving across a hayfield or a pasture field with one of those hairpins, they just won't stay in there. John Deere runs a circular pin, and I run them on my mower and on all the hitch parts on there, a little 3320, and I'm trying to think, I almost think that 1050 has them on there too. I like those style pins. They're a nice pin because they don't get pulled out easily by grass, yet you don't have to have tools to take them apart like you do these guys. And these are a one-shot deal. A cotter pin, you use it once you throw it away. So that's kind of the nice thing about those circle pins. Of course, that was technology that was 40 years later, if not more. So I guess 48 for that 88 model. But anyway, it's, or no, 28, sorry. My math's bad this morning. But anyway, it's getting this thing wrapped up, getting these last few pins in, and I'm just double checking all these pieces because I don't want to. I looked up the mileage to get down there. It's like 250 some miles. So I don't want any of that stuff rattling loose on the trailer and get there and then be missing a special pin. So just trying to go over it real careful, make sure we don't have anything missing, and get it all taken care of. And I'm real excited for you to see this. I'm going to try to put this little kind of group of videos, clips together in a small series for you. This is going to be part 1, and I'll have another, probably part 2 will be still trying to get everything ready, and then I'm kind of anticipating this being maybe 3 parts, and the third part being the actual plow day. So so stay tuned and check those other videos out. If you haven't subscribed already, please do that, and if you like to, give us a thumbs up. That really helps us. And I just looked there. Just hit 400 subscribers there, so we've had this channel just a tick over a year, and I know it's got a little bit of everything in it, but hope you find something there that's enjoyable to you to watch, or maybe you can learn something from. And we primarily do a lot of tree stuff. I use this channel as a tool for teaching at the tech center, and it kind of started up when the whole um, COVID disaster started. So I needed some way to reach the kids and to show them real stuff. So I just started videoing everything I could just to give them something to watch, and while they were stuck at home, and it turned into something kind of fun. I kind of enjoy shooting these things, and then end up kind of helping out a few more people than just the dozen or so kids we have in each class there or each year. So it I don't know, Lord does funny things. So excited about that, and they sure appreciate everybody checking it out and love all the comments. So don't hesitate to leave a comment. It's nice to see what people are doing, and sometimes you point out something I can learn from, and I appreciate that. And we all got lots to learn, and again, I'm just sharing what little tiny bit I know. And but anyway, like I say, I just wanted to take a moment to tell you to again look for the other two parts. That's kind of our goal, and I'll let you leave with a little clip of us testing this thing out before we go.